Hello,
and welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher,
the Love Podcast.
And it's the do's and don'ts of functional relationship. Like, if I want to build a relationship that works, what are the elements that I need to actually have in place? How do I know it's functional? How do I know it's like a really good and healthy relationship?
You can build a solid foundation on a bed of lies.
On a bed of lies. Right? To me, it's those top of the mountain people. There are just a very few people in my life that's going to be at the top of that mountain where the air is thin and we have climbed through some stuff
and
we have made it together. Folks who are making jokes at your expense, who make fun of your insecurities, that's a red flag. That is not ever going to be functional.
I got a teacup booty. You always talk about my teacup booty.
Some people have teacup booties.
Right, and
we just got to point it out that those booties are,
cute and adorable.
Cute and tiny. Tiny.
Artlist.io.
Hello, and welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher,
the Love Podcast.
My name is Nilla, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and relationship coach. I travel the world helping individuals and couples find the skills they need to have happy and healthy relationships.
And I'm Big Sexy, her loving co-host and husband, here to provide levity.
Levity. I still want to say beef, but I won't.
Yeah.
Levity. So today I wanted to
Is bevity a word?
No, bevity, I'm pretty sure it's not a word.
Okay.
I mean, if it is, it would have to be like a scientific meaning or something, like the bevity of I don't know what the bevity of
chemical bevity.
The chemical bevity of carbon is.
Right. Right.
But in everyday parlance, no. Bevity is not a word.
No, yeah. Nobody's walking around saying, "Oh yeah, the bevity over there."
Right. You know how you have some bevity in life? Everybody needs a little bevity. Yeah, nobody says that.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
So today I wanted to talk about a topic that I actually get a lot of. And first I wanted to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
I want to know if, from your perspective, is it easier or more difficult being in a relationship with a therapist?
All right. Is it easier or more difficult being in a relationship with a therapist?
Yes. You're in this weird spot where you are in a relationship with a relationship therapist.
Right.
I'm just curious. Do you think that makes life easier? Because, like, I don't know, you got a expert here, or do you think it makes it more difficult in some ways?
I think it's half a dozen of one, 6 of something else. Right?
You think it makes it more difficult? I'm stunned.
Well, you know what? I think the stereotypical aspect of it, having to overcome that part of it, was difficult.
Okay, you'll have to explain that more. I don't know what you mean when you say. So you're saying there's a stereotypical part that you had to get over.
Yes, there is a part of relationship where you assume that because you're in a relationship with a therapist, that everything will be perfect, or everything will be, guided in a wonderful direction because you're with an expert,
right,
who's in relationships, right? And so you think that you're going to avoid the pitfalls and the circumstances of quote unquote common relationships because you're with somebody who knows relationships. It's like if I went on a hike with a professional hiker, I would expect that hike to be easier than if I was just going with people who never hiked before. So I think realizing that that's not the case, that people are still people, that you are still you, I'm still me, we still had to overcome any of the issues that regular couples would have to overcome,
right? Even
though you're a therapist.
So you're saying I didn't guide you to like a wonderful place?
Well, but that's the other side of it, right? We do things in our relationship that I know other couples don't do in their relationship.
That's true.
And I think that helps strengthen our relationship. And
Agreed.
That's definitely because you're a therapist.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
Right. So there are those aspects of it that, I recognize would not exist if you were not a therapist. And I'm very grateful for those. So like the the flip side of it is the things you've added to our relationship because you were a therapist have 100% helped us out.
Okay.
The things that I had to let go of, the assumptions I had to let go of,
Yes.
were difficult because I had to let go of assumptions.
Okay. Now I understand what you mean. Yeah, no, I see that. So I pose that question because, one, I get the question from folks a lot, and the topic we're going to engage today isn't that specifically, but it is just about relationships, right? Like, the thing I get most often, and I'll tell you, the things we're going to talk about in this next series are applicable to folks of all gender identity expressions, of all sexual orientations, of all ages. I like to think about this as like the vegetables of relationship therapy, right?
Okay.
And it's the do's and don'ts of functional relationship. Like, if I want to build a relationship that works, what are the elements that I need to actually have in place? How do I know it's functional? How do I know it's like a really good and healthy relationship?
So, like, your partner is, we're going with carnivorous dinner. The partner is the meat. The functionalities, the vegetables. And then the sex is the dessert?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not like that at all.
Okay.
I mean, it's like the vegetables in that these are generally good, healthy things to have in a relationship.
Okay.
Now, some folks might really enjoy cucumbers, but hate rutabaga, right?
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I can't tell you that you got to have rutabaga in your relationship. So some of these things you might say, you know what, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's okay. You got to have some vegetables, though, right? These are the things that you have to have as some basic building blocks, which is why it's so broadly applicable to just people, right? So if I want to have a good and functional relationship, how do I build it?
Got it.
And I was just curious, since, you know, I'm the relationship expert, quote unquote,
right?
What you thought about the relationship that we had built. Because, you know, I think we have a functional relationship.
Okay.
Functional, I wouldn't say is necessarily perfect. We don't have a perfect relationship.
Right.
But we do
Which
have a
doesn't
really...
exist.
No, does not exist. But we do have a really functional relationship. So let's jump into it.
Okay.
First of all, let's talk about some of the basics.
All right, hopping in. Here we go. Basics.
Basics, right? There's a hierarchy that we have around relationship that's really important. And if at any point in time you miss one of these steps, you're not going to be building a solid relationship. Okay? So the first one, and the very first layer, is truth. I have to be real with the person. If I do not have truth, I cannot have a functional relationship.
That makes sense.
Right?
You can build a solid foundation on a bed of lies.
On a bed of lies, right? And that's the crazy thing, too, is because I think that sometimes folks are trained to ignore lies in relationships. And I would say that anyone that is lying in a relationship, that's a really significant red flag.
Right.
Now, it could be a red flag because that person is, you know, manipulative and they're just a jerk and they're trying to, you know, hurt you or deceive you. It can also be because, you know, folks don't want to hurt your feelings or they don't want to get into an argument. But for whatever reason, lying or a lack of truth between partners in relationship, to me, is always the biggest red flag, right? If folks are lying, we got to talk about that first.
Right.
Right. One, because you're, you know, betraying trust. You are, you know, making it impossible for your partner to be able to rely on you. And it makes it impossible to build real love and intimacy.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I am in the habit of lying to my partner, I may want to consider whether I actually love this person or whether I just really like them a lot. Right. And it's okay if I just like them a lot. Right. If I just like them a lot and I enjoy them and, you know, we have an understanding that that's the relationship, that's okay. But if I love this person or if I profess to love this person,
stop lying.
Then I got to stop lying to them. Right? I can't just lie to them.
Right.
And that includes little white lies. I mean, it really does. We can be honest in our evaluations of things and not hurtful. You don't have to lie to not be hurtful to people, at least in healthy partnerships.
Right.
So truth is the basis, right?
Okay.
Once I have truth allows me to build trust. Okay. Right?
Yep.
And once I have trust, then I start to build respect. And that's one that I think people don't recognize is the next step.
You can, and we all know couples who you can tell one doesn't respect the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very comfortable for people, you know.
It really is.
You know, it's very noticeable, but yeah, you have to have first trust. And once I can trust you, then I can respect you.
Right.
That's part of the reason why people after infidelity or betrayal can get so nasty, because once trust is shattered, right, so is my respect for you, which means I may not be talking to you a whole lot.
Right.
You know, very nicely, right, during this time period. But that is because the foundation of that has been removed. And I have to think about respecting you, how I respect myself. There's a lot of that goes on. So after trust comes respect. And once I have the foundation of trust and respect, then I can actually move into a place of love.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, that seems, yeah. I mean,
you seem surprised. Tell me about the surprise.
You know, because I know how the world thinks of love is there. It's efflorescence. It's not a step in the journey. It's the encompassing, guiding light.
Well, no, that's the emotion. That's the emotion of attraction. That's the emotion of infatuation. That's the Fox is making his every podcast announcement. He just wants folks to know he's out here. Fox wants y'all to know that Nilla needs a computer, y'all. So if you haven't thought about signing up for our Patreon, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Take a moment, take a look at our Patreon. You can support the podcast channel. You can support the things that we need to be able to deliver this content to you with quality. Now that Fox has made his announcement, I think he's quiet, so we're going to continue. After love, right? Then comes intimacy.
A lot of people jump right to that part.
Well, and first we have to define what intimacy is, right? We're not talking about intimacy like sex.
Oh.
Right? Like you're going to have sex.
I mean, okay, that makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
I'm talking intimacy as in like having an intimate partnership, as in someone who really knows me. To me, it's those top of the mountain people. Down at the bottom of the mountain where it's easy and it doesn't really cost very much and no one has to expend very much energy. Most people are hanging down at the bottom of Friendship Mountain. They're in a relationship mountain. But there are just a very few people in my life that's going to be at the top of that mountain where the air is thin and we have climbed through some stuff. Right? We have been through some beautiful days and some terrible days.
And
we have made it together. That's the kind of intimacy I'm talking about.
Okay.
And that's the kind of intimacy I think people are lacking often in, their relationships and their friendships. I think we have a loneliness crisis happening, not just in the United States, but worldwide, where people are really desperately trying to figure out, how do I get to intimacy? How do I find intimate partnerships? How do I find intimate friendships? How do I find love and support? Here's how you do it, y'all. You got to start with truth. That means also not necessarily trying to bend myself into what someone else wants me to be. That's also not a truth. Right. We'll get into that a little bit later. This is going to be a series, y'all. And the reason this is going to be a series is because we're about to go deep. But those are kind of that's kind of the basis, right? Of elements that you need to build a functional relationship. That's the map.
Let me make sure I got that. That starts off with truth. Trust. Respect. Love.
Builds to love.
And intimacy.
And remains
but not like
in intimacy.
But intimacy.
Right. And remains in intimacy throughout the relationship as the relationship changes and grows, right? So those are the elements, y'all. And those are how you keep them in place. Now let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts of how to maintain functional relationship. The very first thing I tell you is that who you think you are is important. Like attracts like. You have to think about this. Do you like the person that you are?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, my answer is I love the person I am.
My answer is also yes. I will tell you that when you are talking with folks that are in a bad relationship, a toxic or bad marriage, often that's a question mark. I don't know if I like myself.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what ends up happening, right, is if I am trying to live in partnership with someone that I don't really like, what does that say about me?
Right. Why am I taking, especially whether if it's abusive or, not great, why am I here? Why am I staying here? What is it about myself that I hate that I'm I feel like I deserve this punishment.
Right. Now, that could be internally that I have that kind of challenge. That could be external, that someone is manipulating and harming and abusing me so that I now start to think about myself in negative ways. By the way, y'all, folks who are making jokes at your expense, who make fun of your insecurities, right? Those people, that's a red flag. That is not ever going to be functional.
Right.
If someone puts you down or belittles you or in any way attacks who you are as a person, that's just never going to work.
It's never
right?
good. It's never good.
And it's never good because if I don't like me, how can I possibly like you?
Right.
Right? What ends up happening then is that the relationship becomes this series of tests. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're not talking about just like fun jokes between a couple.
No, of course you can joke. We joke around a lot.
I mean,
course,
yeah.
You know.
I got a teacup booty. You always talk about my teacup booty.
I wasn't gonna choose those jokes, but we could go with that. Sure.
Yeah.
Some people have teacup booties,
and you know,
we just got to point it out that those booties are,
cute and adorable,
cute and tiny, cute little adorable booties. Yeah, I was thinking more about the fact that I'm so young and you're so much older than me.
Okay. The age difference.
I
got me a hot young thing.
Got your hot young thing. I got me a sugar daddy.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Well, you got a daddy.
I got a daddy.
I don't know how much sugar I got. I'm a splendid daddy.
Let's not even play that lie. That's not how this works, y'all. Please. Nobody's calling nobody daddies around here. That's just
no. We actually
nothing wrong with that.
You
can do whatever you want to do in your life. We got a whole different other thing going on. I have found, and this is just anecdotal. I don't have anything to back this up. This is just years of sitting with thousands and thousands and thousands of partners, that inevitably when folks are unhappy in the relationship that they are in, there's always some element, unless there's narcissism, there is some element of self-dislike or self-criticism. Because, like, I don't know, and often that comes out in trying to change the partner.
Okay.
Right? So if I don't like me, right, it's hard for me to say I don't like me. So instead, I work on you. Right?
Okay.
And if I can get you to behave in a way that says that I'm likable, then this relationship works.
Wow.
But then it becomes a series of trying to get you to confirm that I'm likable. Right?
Right.
That's where folks often need a lot of reassurance. Not that it's a bad thing to be reassured by your partner, but that kind of constant reassurance that is born of insecurity.
There's a difference between enjoying reassurance,
sure,
and demanding reassurance.
Right. Yeah. And if I'm in a place where I don't like myself and I'm in a relationship, I'm going to be in a place often of demanding reassurance. And that puts a lot of strain on relationships. It slows it down. It's like throwing a bunch of sludge into an engine, right? So the first thing I would say with folks is I want to think about, what do I like about me? And how is that reflected in my relationship? How is that supported in my relationship? I think if I think about the things that let me say that. Let me say it this way. If I think about the things that I believe you like about you, they are also things that I like about you. Right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think I followed that. Yeah.
Walk with me.
Okay.
Because if you're following, if you're maybe, I want to make sure that it's clear to the listeners too. So if you're maybe walking through some stuff, help me understand.
So I don't know, just make sure that I understand.
Yeah.
Just my brain.
Yep.
So if I like about me, wait, that's not it.
If I like me, I can appreciate the things that you like about you without having to change you.
Oh, okay. Wait, yeah, okay. It's the pronouns that's throwing me off. If I like me, then I like you. I like the things you like about you.
And I can be free to like the things that you like about you.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, my brain keeps wanting to say, if I like me, then I can be free to like the things that you like about me.
You can say it that way too.
Okay.
You're just saying a different sentence.
Right. Right. That is an and.
But you may say whatever you like. So,
got it.
Yeah. So, I'd invite you, if you are having thoughts about whether you like yourself or not, first, look at whether you really like the relationship that you're in.
Okay.
I will tell you that when I was in a very bad relationship, I did not like Now, that wasn't a function of, me just being a terrible person with poor self-esteem. Part of that was a function of being in a relationship that was toxic and therefore not having the safety to be me. So if I'm in a toxic relationship and I need somebody to like me, well, that's the wrong person to be liking me.
Right.
You get it.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a big part of it that's like, if I don't like myself and you like me, I don't believe you.
Right. That is also the thing. I can't tell you the number of folks that I encounter that are. I struggle to say this, right? Because I don't want it to sound blamey. It's not blamey. The thing about human beings is that we are actually not necessarily wired for happiness.
Okay.
I know that sounds weird to say. Our brains aren't wired to happiness, so generally our set point isn't generally happy for most folks. So happiness is a deliberate kind of practice. We have to cultivate happiness. It moves and it shifts, right?
I did have to do a lot of work to come to a place where happiness is my core.
Right. And most people do. That's the thing. Happiness is not something that people just kind of like. I think folks who struggle in any way think that happiness is like an easy thing to come by.
Well, I wonder about that because...
Or it's a natural thing to come by.
Because babies are happy.
Sometimes there's some. Have you met some colicky babies? I've met some very grumpy babies.
I've met some grumpy babies.
There's some grumpy babies. And listen, grumpy babies are still cute babies. Right. Grumpy babies may be the cutest babies because they are so grumpy, but they're definitely grump babies.
Okay.
Grump babies.
Grump babies.
We're looking for some names to call our listeners. Maybe grump babies.
I don't know. Y'all, we get some engagement. Y'all let us know you want to be called grunt babies.
You want to be called grunt babies.
What's up, my little grunt babies?
The Rainbow Dreamcatcher
grunt
babies.
Definitely gonna put that in the post.
Here's the thing: we gotta at least trademark that somehow. Grunt babies is gonna go like straight to Shark Tank.
Yeah. my next book.
That's the name of your memoir. Grunt babies.
Grunt baby.
Grunt babies. A memoir. Let's go on and move to number 2 in the series, right? So we've talked about what it means to like yourself and why that's important in relationship and how it reflects back into relationship. It's also important to know what it is that you want in a relationship. And that's something that we come to over time. That's something that changes over time. Mm-hmm. It changes with life transitions. It changes with age.
What did you want in our relationship when we started?
Well, now that's an interesting thing. When we started what? When is when we started?
So let's bypass the introduction before when doing the friends with benefits.
Okay, sure. We'll bypass that.
Was much more
right.
Just a physical whatever.
Okay.
When we were discussing about becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, and we weren't seeing anybody else.
Yeah.
And you thought, I can be in a relationship with this dude.
Yeah, that was, first of all, that was surprising. It was surprising because, as you know, I really started out with just like I was not going to be in any relationship.
Right.
Certainly not with another male energy. It just wasn't going to be the deal. I think I wanted truth. Yeah, I think I wanted truth. I had spent so much time in a relationship where there wasn't a lot of truth and where there was a lot of, lying and deception and betrayal and gaslighting and manipulation, abuse. And so, just having someone that was honest was, I think, probably the most attractive thing for sure. Honest. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about that.
No, we certainly have not. Let's talk about asking for what you want in a relationship. Now, the thing about this is that it is really important that you know that you should, in a healthy relationship, be able to ask for what you want and have a reasonable expectation that if it's not crazy or outside the bounds of whatever, that should be available to you or can be available to you in a relationship. Now, I work with partners in non-traditional relationships. We're in a non-traditional relationship. And so, there are different ways of determining what those boundaries are and should be. But here's the important thing, and this is something that I see often with folks that are opening relationships. I shouldn't say often, but I see it with folks that are in the process of considering whether to open a relationship. People will ask for something that they want without being really clear about what it is. So they will demand something that they think they should have, but they haven't thought through, why should I have this? What is important? Do I actually want this? Right? What are the ramifications? If I do want this, what does this mean? And that can be really detrimental in relationship. If I just keep demanding that you just do something, right?
Right.
Just because I don't know, I need you to prove that you will do something for me, or that you will do what I want. Well, that just becomes this very demanding relationship, right?
Right.
So it's not to say that you shouldn't ask for what you want. You should be clear in asking for what you want, but you should know what it is, right? You should think about why you want it. And if you don't know that you want something, don't demand it. Any questions about that one?
No, that's clear. That's clear as day.
Yeah. So
and a clear day.
Yeah. So that's one of those do's/don'ts, right? Do ask for what you want. Don't demand things that you just think you should have. The other thing is problem solving. And I think that a lot of relationships don't come from the focus of problem solving. We talked about this last time with the hoopty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing back the hoopty, y'all. With the hoopty, we can focus on the problem or the solution. And we make a choice about how we do that when we decide how to move forward in relationships, right?
For our younger listeners, a hoopty is a broke down car.
It's a broke down car. It's a car that requires a lot of attention and focus and investment to keep it running. Now, if I am focused on the problem, then we're just going to be discussing, like, we got to take this to the mechanic, we got to get that tire done, right? But we're not really getting a solution, right? We're not actually carrying through a solution. And when it comes to partnerships, what I find is that when folks get to solution, they can then work together on solution. But what folks try to do is work together on problems. And what they need to be working on is solution. And I find that partners that are really healthy are solution oriented. They tend to recognize that problems are just going to happen. Here's the thing, y'all. Problems are going to happen. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have or don't have, no matter how mature you are or are not, you will encounter problems in a relationship. That's just what a relationship is.
Right.
Knowing that you're going to encounter problems, I can either focus on the fact that there are problems and I'm irritated that there are problems, which a lot of people seem to approach relationship therapy from the position that there should never be problems. Right? So relationship therapy.
I was that naive when I was younger.
Sure. Relationships
are... By younger, I mean like, before we got married.
Before we got married. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, good. That's good. Yeah.
It's just you have to.
You're gonna have problems. Focus on the solution. Don't focus on the problem.
Right. So knowing that, right, spending time lamenting the fact that there is a problem is often counterintuitive.
And both partners, or however many partners are in the relationship, should all be focused on the solution. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if one is focused on the solution, ideally together, right? If one is focused on the solution and the other one refuses to focus on the solution, that is definitely not a functional relationship.
Definitely not a functional relationship, right? You're going to get what you focus on. You want to find a partner and you want to be a partner that focuses on solution. Now, that doesn't mean solution at all costs. Sometimes the solution might be breaking up. Just saying, right? Quiet as it's kept.
Right.
But that can also be a solution, but you want to be focused on what that looks like, what actually works, as opposed to what is not working. You can spend a lot of time talking about what's not working. Again, our brains are wired for criticism, finding problem, safety, all that good stuff. What do you think? Should we do one more, perhaps?
Yeah, one more do or don't of a functional relationship.
The fear of intimacy is the fear of truth.
The fear of intimacy is the fear of truth.
Yes.
Is the inverse correct as well? Is the fear of truth the fear of intimacy as well?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Let's tear that apart.
Yeah.
I mean, not tear it apart, but dive in. dig in, get into it.
Well, truth is the path to intimacy. We talked about that as
Right.
the foundation. Your truth is always going to be better than someone else's truth. Your job as a partner is to get to know your truth. You can own your truth and you can share your truth. And that's how you get to intimacy, right?
Okay.
When I can share my truth, I can be trusted. I am respected. I open myself to love and I can find my path to intimacy. If I'm afraid of the truth, I will never be able to walk that path.
Okay.
Right? If I'm afraid of intimacy, I will use truth or the lack of truth as a way to stay away from intimacy. So again, when we talk about folks that have difficulty with fidelity or difficulty even with just commitment, I often will talk with younger folks who have challenges around like, I don't know if I want to commit or if I should commit, right? Or how do I know when the right time is to commit? My answer is...
We have one of those questions.
Oh, is that one of our questions for today? So. Oh, well, great. My first question is, do you feel like you can be honest with your partner, even about this, right? Do you feel like your partner can hold that truth for you and be able to walk through the difficult parts of that and to stay on the difficult, like, I don't know, painful edges of that, right?
Do you run into situations where there's a partnership of people who are scared to commit?
Yes.
That's frequent? I mean,
not very frequent.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, most people have some fear of commitment. It's a big decision to make when I decide to share life with another partner or another person, either in legal ways or in other ways that are important to me.
Right.
So that's a caveat, right? So people are always going to have those kinds of questions. I think what I find most often with folks that struggle to commit is that there's confusion.
Okay.
And for me, if you're a partner and you're confused about where you stand in the relationship, you're not in a healthy relationship.
That makes sense.
Right? Whatever your actual relational process, you should know where you stand with that other person.
Yeah, confusion is not healthy.
No. Because if I'm confused, that means that there is some truth out there that is not available to me. And I can tell it's not available to me, right? So that's
wonder where it is.
Right. So when I put it in that way for folks, it sometimes offers some clarity, sometimes not, but it sometimes offers some clarity when someone is like, I really like this person and they're really cool and we seem to get along and everything fits. Why won't they commit to me? Well, what's your relationship status? Are you at a status where commitment is available to you?
Right.
I don't know. Well, if you don't know, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Got to find the truth. Right.
Find the truth.
And oftentimes it's a truth that folks don't want to hear. Like, for example, I really like you, but I don't want to commit to you for life.
Woo!
That's a truth that people will avoid.
Right.
Right. So, maybe they're telling you the truth, or maybe you are avoiding the truth because it's not a truth that you want to hear.
Right.
But if that's the case, then I'm also avoiding intimacy because I'm not allowing that person to be who they really actually are.
And they can't walk down that path, whatever that path is right for them.
They can't walk down that path with me. Sometimes truth hurts, man. Truth is uncomfortable.
Truth is painful. Truth can be painful.
Truth can be painful. Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be. It can be painful.
And I guess it's not even truth, honestly. It is real, messy connection with other people is painful. It can be very painful. Often by accident, because we are creatures that just are not very precise, right? But relationships do involve some pain, just like all activities in our lives involve some pain. If I exercise, if I exercise, it's great for me, it's great for my body, but occasionally there will be some pain involved in that. And there's healthy kinds of pain and there's unhealthy kinds of pain. Everything that we do as human beings at some point involves pain. And I think that part of coming to some maturity about relationship and building functional relationship is recognizing that there is healthy pain and there is, what do we call it? Dirty pain and clean pain, right? Clean pain is a pain that is building, it is growing, right? It's those spaces where we are uncomfortable, but that discomfort leads us to greater connection, greater intimacy, self-awareness, right? Dirty pain is that pain that brings us shame and criticism, blame, self-doubt. That's dirty pain. And it's important in relationship, if I'm going to have a functional relationship, to start to be able to tell the difference. So I don't know. That seems like a good place to pause. Like I said, this is going to be a series, so we will continue to discuss some do's and don'ts of functional relationship. And by functional, we mean relationships that are supportive of the partners that are involved.
Excellent. And so the question that sparked is,
Okay.
this one comes from Anonymous.
Okay.
Anonymous asks, when would you consider to be ready for a relationship? Where do you need to be in life for that? When would you say someone is not ready?
Yeah. So I understand that you are thinking of something chronological or maybe attached to like a life or milestone. I would tell you that for me, it is when that person is able to recognize with self-awareness their own truth. They are able to own that truth and share that with others. That's when they're ready to commit.
Yeah, when we were doing our thing,
Mm-hmm.
did you have a switch moment? Was there ever a switch moment for you? Like, I'm ready to be in a relationship, or was it kind of like a gradual growth into it?
I feel like in the early stages, it wasn't. It was gradual. It was partially gradual because I felt like I was dragged into it, kicking and screaming. Not in the sense that
get over here.
No, not
be
like
in a
that.
relationship with me.
No, not like that. But in the sense that, like, I don't know, I had kind of come to some conclusions about how my life was going to unfold, and it did not include like most I think partnerships. It didn't include this partnership, this type of partnership, this this type of. I mean, there's just so many different things that I had really made a decision I was not going to ever engage again. So
you fell in love with me in spite of yourself.
Yeah, kind of in spite of you and me. Yes, I would say that that's true. So gradual, was there a switch? I don't know if there was a switch. I imagine at some point there had to be a switch. I think it was just kind of like a begrudging acknowledgement.
Kind of like, yeah, well,
like, I mean, fine.
I was wondering if it was like,
fine. You just continue to be awesome. Why?
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Fine. You just stop it. Fine. You be awesome. That's pretty much how it was. How about for you? Was there a switch?
I wouldn't say a switch necessarily.
But you had already been. I think you'd already determined that you were ready to find a partner at that point. Right?
Well, when we started, I had just made peace with the fact that I was not going to be in a committed relationship long term. Mm-hmm. That all my relationships from that point on were going to be short term, most likely. Mm-hmm. So I but I also the type of person who will let things run its course. Mm-hmm. And I'm always been easygoing. I'm very easygoing. People know I'm very easygoing. So if it goes into something long term, great. If it's not, I'm okay with that too. So I would say that there wasn't a time when I was like, no, okay, yes. It was much more. Let's see what this is. Let's see where this goes.
No. Okay, yes. Yeah.
Oh, you like me? All right. So yeah,
I didn't do it that way.
No, I didn't do it that way. What about when would you say someone is not ready? Is there a time when
that would be the inverse?
Yeah.
Right. When I am not in a place of knowing myself, knowing my truth, having the self-awareness. Right. Self-awareness is such a big part of the ability to be able to share with another person.
Yes,
we language it. And I think not the best way, which is, you have to love yourself before you can love another person. I don't think that is accurate. I think we love people, and people are sticky, and we just find people that we love. And we don't have to have like a certain measure of self-love. But I do find that the more self-awareness we have, the more we are able to be safe and expressive in them. And that, I think, is what we mean when we say, love yourself first, and then you can love another person, right? You have to love yourself before you can love another person. I think you have to have some self-awareness of who you are and what you need as a person to feel safe in that love.
Yeah, I've always looked at it as if I can't love myself, then, or if I don't like myself, then
it's hard for me to be.
It's hard for me to be in a relationship to like somebody else, because if that person likes me, I don't believe them. But if I love myself,
and I kind of don't like them either. How you don't like people, and you kind of don't want other people to like them either.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. But like when there's people I don't like, I really don't like them, and I don't understand why other people like them.
Yeah,
I really and I kind of wonder like why people treat them like they like them when they do.
The list of people I don't like is small.
Same, but
it's very small. But if I don't
that's
like
the experience.
Yeah, I don't want nobody else to like you.
I don't want nobody I like to like you. That's
right.
For
sure. Right, and if somebody I don't like them, I might not like you.
My whole crew.
Yeah, I've been a big component of
proponent.
What I say?
Component. I've been a big
component. I've been in there. This is a piece of the wheel. I've been a big proponent of the idea of loving yourself.
Yes.
Also, I come from a place of, that's what I was trying to say, when my brain reconnects. I'm trying to say that if I love myself, then you loving me is an added bonus. If I love myself and you don't love me, I can keep it moving.
Right.
Okay. You don't love me? All right. I mean, I love me, so I love me enough for the both of us.
Exactly that part.
Anonymous, I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for writing in. If you have a question for Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast, please send us an email at rainbowdreamcatchertlp@gmail.com or hit us up on our social media, Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Pod on Instagram. Just search for Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast, wherever, and it'll pull up something, wherever.
You'll find us.
Absolutely fine. Let's go to rainbowdreamcatcherthelovepodcast.com and catch us there. Feel free to sign up for our Patreon. We can always love your support.
Nilla needs a computer, y'all.
Definitely come on over. The community is great, and we'd love to have you.
I guess that's it.
All right. Well, this has been
Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.